What is up, Warshipper? SeaRaptor here, bringing you a first look at Tier 7 Russian tech tree battleship Sinop. And I'm probably mispronouncing that, and I apologize. So let's have a quick peek around this ship. Tier 7, 65,000 hit points. That is ginormous. That ties her with Nagato for almost the top of the tier. Hood retains the top tier honor, but only a few thousand HP further up. Hood is like 67 and change or something. So, I mean, that is a tremendous amount of hit points for a Tier 7 battleship. That is really nice to see. She does retain the 300mm belt armor that we saw on Izmail, one tier down, as well as this graduating belt armor up towards the bow, starting at 113mm and moving back towards her belt. She has a really solid amount of belt defense, literally all the way around the ship. Her torpedo protection still remains very bad, 16%. So again, not a ship you want to close into an area where you know for a fact you're going to be dealing with destroyers. What really makes her stand out is that she moves from the 14-inch, the 356mm rifles that Izmail had to 406mm. These are 16-inch barrels at Tier 7. And then only Colorado, Nagato, and Nelson, and I guess Ashitaka have barrels this large at Tier 7. This is pretty noteworthy. She still trails Ashitaka in terms of overall throw weight because Ashitaka has 10 410mm barrels. Sinop here coming in with 9 406mm barrels, but it does put her ahead of Colorado and Nagato, so definitely one of the stronger tech tree battleships we've currently got at Tier 7. Probably the closest analog in terms of overall throw weight we can talk about is Nelson, but Nelson's AP penetration values get really, really bad over range. When you look at the numbers on Sinop, I don't think she's going to have this problem. In fact, I think Sinop's going to have even more or better penetration at range than Nagato does. So these guns are going to hurt like hell when they actually hit something. She has a very robust secondary battery, almost in contrast to Izmail one tier lower. There are a lot of these secondary guns. They only have a 5-kilometer range. You can see here, I've put her in a full-out secondary build just to see what you could max the range out to. It is 7.2 kilometers, which is not too shabby, really, and there's a lot of these guns. So this is a ship you might want to consider making a bit of a brawler build with. AA, as we mentioned in Izmail's video, is hard to gauge right now because, again, on an 8.1 test, we're still using the pre-hotfix AA value numbers. It's almost impossible to know what these will actually be. But if we read the tea leaves and we try to do some extrapolation, her long-range aura is probably nothing to write home about. Fair to middling for the tier, although you can see there it does have a 6-kilometer range. That's quite nice. It gives her a little extra range over some of the other ships of her tier. The mid-range aura is going to be weaker than probably the KG5 mid-range aura, which is probably the royal standard, let's say, for mid-range AA at Tier 7. She's probably going to be roughly on par with probably about Nelson's or something like that. One of the things that she does here, you'll notice she doesn't have a short-range AA aura. That's a trend you start to see going up the rest of the Soviet battleship line. This mid-range aura runs from 3.5 kilometers all the way right up to the edge of the hull. Maneuverability, 29 knots, pretty average for Tier 7. Not too fast, not too slow, just right, as Goldilocks might say. She's not going to be running down Gneisenau or Schornhorst, but they're not going to be able to get away from her very quickly either. Her turning circle is a ridiculous 960 meters. At this tier, that is huge, but bizarrely, her rudder shift is like best in tier, 12.9 seconds, which is really interesting. So she's going to respond to her rudder quickly. She's just going to handle like a fat cow. Concealment, again, you know, she's kind of a bit above average in the stealth department. She's not stealthy, but she's not the worst in tier. There are plenty of other Tier 7 battleships that she outspots, mostly the Americans, German, French, and Japanese. The KG5s are definitely stealthier than this particular ship at Tier 7. Nothing abnormal on the consumables front here. DCP, health, and catapult fighter. The catapult fighter we did not see on one tier down on Izmail is present here. So that's nice to see. Going with what probably is a fairly average AA suite, that fighter will give her a little extra punch when she needs it. Overall, guys, Sinop looks like a very strong battleship at Tier 7. I mean, between the secondaries, the weight, the throw weight, the punch of these guns, she should have zero issues pushing it against virtually any other battleship of her tier that doesn't have torpedoes, i.e. the Germans. Right now, she just looks like a really solid ship overall, and probably one of the highlights of the Soviet battleship line in general. All right, guys, we'll have more of these battleship preview videos up shortly. Thanks for watching.